Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
Absolutely impossible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Right. And hello. You should be able to hear me now. That's in an ideal world. There we go. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to our second round of our PSGL F4 season. We've got 16 drivers here for this race, and well, it's going to be very good fun. My name's Joseph Black, and alongside me will be Piney Penguin for today's action. And we've just disconnected from the session. That's a really good start, isn't it? But welcome along, Piney, to what should be a very good race indeed. China, which is a race that has a different kind of... It's very, very different indeed in terms of the way they raced last year and the way they're about to race now.
Failed to join session. Excuse me, game.
Yes, we've been disconnected from the session, which is a good start to the broadcast. As soon as I came on as well. But yeah, we'll be all good to go, I'm sure, in a little bit.
Yeah, this is where, but like, it's F1 and its problems.
Struggling at the moment. I'm just trying to work out what's going on with our F4 drivers. Yeah, the lobby has died, so we will be
Off.
we'll be working out what's going on with that. And well, while we do that, we're gonna throw up a quick intermission screen. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for that abrupt start and abrupt end to our stream, but we'll be ready to get the action to you very, very soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Long time no see. Welcome to the F4 broadcast once again. My name is still Joseph Black, and I'm still alongside Piney Penguin. We've got about 5 seconds of broadcasting before we disconnected, but we're going to be here once again for what should be a very good race of action. As I was saying before we were rudely kicked out of the lobby, China, it's going to be a little bit different on this year's cycle. Oh, obviously it's like a F1 25.5 because of that big long straight, isn't it? So see how that one goes. Loading into the lobby as we stand. We're going to have 16 drivers out there, and well, there's a couple that I'm keeping my eyes on. I'm keeping my eyes on Marcel Pabst, Alessandro Finn, Simon Equestre, Pascal Gill. In terms of those who I'd be expecting to be right up at the very top of this field. But we are loaded back into the lobby, so we will get our full qualifying session underway, thankfully. And thank you to Tom Wolfgram, who's been really good in resetting the lobby and getting us going once again. So we will get everybody back out on circuit, and we will be going trackside. We're going to be going trackside to the circuit, to the Shanghai International Circuit, which is a very, very good circuit indeed. In my opinion, not being propaganda, but I am going to China later this year, so maybe I'm trying to get in there early. But it's a very good circuit indeed. There's plenty of overtaking opportunities. Where are you expecting the drivers to try to make that move?
Tempting. You got the hairpin of turn 14. You could possibly have drivers going all the way around the outside of turn 13, maybe in turn 7, and even turn 1 is what I'm predicting. Might see a couple dive bombs at turn 6, you never know. We'll see what these drivers fancy doing when it comes to race time.
We certainly will do indeed, but we're going to go for laps around the Shanghai International Circuit with the first few of our drivers that are out there on the circuit. Of course, they've reset, so they're going to be getting 18 minutes of racing, or 18 minutes of qualifying at least, under their belt before they get themselves going. And you can see the beautiful PSGL graphics as we head through. That's been successfully installed and ready to go. But yeah, 16 drivers, a little bit of a smaller grid than we had last week, and a little bit of a smaller grid than we were hoping to get. But how does that change the dynamics of the race in terms of there's less drivers?
I guess less action if they all tend to get split up in the race. But obviously, you never know what will happen because these drivers are really good at what they do. So I expect most of them to keep a close gap in for most of the race.
Yeah,
unless someone gets decided to go for a little spin in the grass.
Exactly, and also the fact that it's less drivers, there's less to think about, so the drivers may well go a little bit more flat out, knowing that there is going to be more at stake. Those further down, potentially, will be thinking about that as we're going to watch on with Alessandro Finn as he gets a lap underway on that McLaren. We're going to go on board with him as he heads down towards turn number 1. It's a long, sweeping corner, and, well, it's going to be trying to stay close to the apex, washing yourself out wide before you head into the apex of turn number 2, where you just get yourself slowed down and turned in correctly. Then turn number 3, you want to stay tight, then once again wash out to the exit towards the apex of turn number 4 before opening up the throttle and heading down towards turn 5, which is completely flat out, turn 6, which is the complete opposite. It is a hairpin. It's going to be difficult for the drivers to break into there, but that will be a prime overtaking opportunity. Then a sweeping corner to start sector 2, where they're just going to be trying to duke it out for position. If they go alongside in the hairpin, they may well still be alongside as they head through turn number 8. Then they head through the end of the second sector and still clipping pretty much each of the apexes before coming down towards the final sector, and it's going to be a 51.3 in the first 2 sectors from Alessandro Finn. Then the final sector underway for the McLaren, and it's going to be once again washing wide to hit the apex, which is a weird, unique scenario you only have on this circuit. but then it's heading out and opening up once again towards the straight, heading down the straight, and at the end of it is going to be the biggest braking zone on potentially the calendar as they head down to the hairpin. Just throwing the car in there, opening up the throttle on the exit towards the final corner. Try not to invalidate here. We'll see a fair few drivers doing that tonight before clipping the apex and hitting the end. Alessandro Finn with his first lap on the board, a 1:31.002.
Got Neo Steens coming up next at the last corner, so he's going to come up sides. Where is he going to match up compared to Alessandro? Only just a 10th behind, which ain't bad to start with, as they're all just coming flying through the final corner now, most of the drivers.
They are indeed. Ken Fisher with the fastest lap of everybody with 1:30.845 on the board to making a McLaren 1-2 right now. And well, just watching through the rest of the drivers, Thomas Laminen up to 4th place with a 31.0. Dennis Kamensky even a little bit quicker, but still within the 31.0s. Zethany Gondosh going into 7th place with a 31.2. Then Lucas SL around the final couple of corners. There'll be a Mercedes and a Williams that take to the line before him. And that'll be the Mercedes of Michael Kusela, who goes up to 6th place, and the Williams, which goes up to 9th place, Simon Equestre, and Thomas Robotham back of the field at the moment. Lucas SL into 9th, immediately displaced by Spetzi, who goes up into 6th place. Adina Tux into 11th, the only driver then to not set a time so far, Jonas Orpel in the V-Carb, who will be the only V-Carb out there on circuit this evening. Unfortunately, with only 16 drivers, some teams are going to have to make that sacrifice, and V-Carb is going to be one of those teams. But we're seeing a full complement of McLarens, a full complement of Aston Martins, a full complement of Mercedes. One of the Ferraris is actually going to be a reserve, and then you've got a full complement of Williams cars, and then we're just mixing and matching the rest of the gridders. That's the end of their first runs. Ken Fisher on top.
Yeah, this was like, I think Jonas Orpel probably invalidated the last corner because he's got another invalidation for this lap. So I think if he didn't invalidate the last corner, he would have definitely gone again. Because that's one interesting thing I've noticed with this year's game for some reason. When it comes to qualifying, you get more fuel than normal. You get like between 3 to 5 laps of fuel in qualifying, where it's usually 2. So you might see a few people do like double out laps towards the end of the session if they screw up the other lap.
Yeah, they may well do. We've seen it before where drivers have gone for 2 laps just in case anything goes wrong for them on that lap, and then they have another opportunity to go once again, and it means that they are lighter. It means that they are potentially going to go quicker as well, because of course they are lighter at the end of the day, so it gives them an opportunity to do just that. But at the end of the first runs, it will be the 2 McLarens, 1st and 3rd place, and I think they will be happy with that for now. But of course, they're going to want to be 1-2. However, there is rain out there on the circuit, so that's why everybody rushed out of the pit lane, ready to go, because they're not going to get any other opportunities to take themselves to this circuit. So a really intriguing session indeed will end with 11 minutes to go, most likely, unless anybody's going to take that gamble, with Ken Fisher on top and Marcel Paps alongside him.
This is where I'd be like, what rain are you seeing, bruv?
I'm not seeing any on the circuit, but I've been told by, Thomas Laminen has mentioned that there's going to be rain. However, there are some drivers going out there on the circuit once again. So maybe the rain is coming later on in the session. He's just complaining about the rain that will be in the future. For me, I think that he should just get back out there and set his time, and then he can come back into the pit lane afterwards. But yeah, there is definitely rain on the horizon for all these drivers. We will see what happens when that happens, but for now, you're absolutely right. We do not have rain just yet. 10 minutes left to go in the session, and that's why we're seeing a couple of drivers straight back out there, I'm sure. And the first one will be the Cadillac, I believe that is, of Tom Wolfgram. Still trying to get used to, not Tom Wolfgram, Pascal Guild. Still trying to get used to all of the colours that all of the drivers will have out there on the circuit, because it's going to be, of course, a little bit different to what we've been used to when we've had the regular colours that have been intruded upon this year by the Audi and the Cadillac. Of course, the Cadillac having similar colours to the Ferraris and the Audi having similar colours, or the Cadillac even having similar colours to the Haas, and the Audi having similar colours to the Ferrari. So it's been a difficult one to deal with, and you might not have seen at the end of the last stint. I hope you didn't see, because therefore I would have been able to get away with it. There was nothing really on the circuit for these drivers in terms of times, and I actually skipped over to the wrong driver at the wrong time, which can happen a lot, but it's a 50-50 chance when it's teammates, but it's a little bit less of an option when it's going to be the Cadillacs, for example, who are trying to go out there on the circuit. No Hasses there tonight, but yeah, for me it's difficult to bridge the gap between those two teams, and then it's a 1 in 4 shot of getting the right car instead. Pascal Guild starting on his next lap, 31.5 for the Cadillac so far, and he's going to look to improve on that one. He was the first driver out on circuit to try and set that second lap, and he's going to give it his best shot to be able to do so. And in the first sector, well, is it going to be an improvement? I'm sure it is, and of course it is. It's going to be a 10th up for the Cadillac, and then heading through to the second sector, it will be hoping for more of an improvement, because he's found a 10th already. He's going to be starting to challenge with the likes of Simon Equestre for the top 12, but he's going to want at least the top 10, as well, we're going to be seeing Neo Steins just starting a lap, 7 thousandths off of Michael Kusela at the moment is going to be the case for him on the 4th row of the grid, so hoping to remain in that one. But yeah, Pascal Gill heading through the second sector. Where's he going to be? He's going to be 4 tenths up, so found some time in that second sector. And now heads towards the final couple of corners, and well, he's going to be having a look to see if he can improve on that time. He has done so far, but if there's going to be any problems in the final sort of segment of this qualifying session, then there's going to be a change. Of course, potentially that's that rain on the way. Thomas Laminen might have had me done for that one, but Gill potentially held up by a Mercedes in the final corner. That'll be Michael Kusela coming around to start his lap. Gill will get a lovely, sumptuous bit of slipstream, and he's going to go up to 4th place, a 5/10 improvement for the VLS driver, and that is a very good lap indeed. And we will see more drivers, I'm sure, coming to the line to try and improve on their times as well. Jonas Orpel has just come to the line there. Ken Fisher, our pole driver at the moment, 29 thousandths down as it stands, and we'll be hoping to improve on that one. 700ths, if I can get my words out quicker than Marcel Pabst at the moment. Dennis Kamensky in 3rd place. He's going to be just under a 10th behind Fisher, as Alessandro Finn is going to go up to the top row of the field. He's going to go to within 7 thousandths of a second of his teammate, so it's a good start for the McLarens. That's gotten even better right now, and well, we will see the more drivers coming with times. Marcel Pabst is that 3rd place at the moment. That was an improvement for the Red Bull of Lucas SL, who's got a 30.935, 3 thousandths off of the back of Dennis Kamensky, so a very good lap indeed for him. And we will see Marcel Pabst, who is improving on his time. He may well be challenging for that pole position very, very soon indeed. And well, he's going to come to the end of that second sector. He has indeed come to the end of that second sector, coming through to the final one now. Hopefully not going to get held up by anybody. There's a lot of cars in that final sector for him to contend with and try to go around and inside and all these sorts of things, trying to avoid them. And yeah, we will see where they will end up going around the final couple of corners then for Marcel Pabst, and this looks like it's going to be a good lap indeed for him. Was improving by a decent chunk in the first 2 sectors, didn't need to improve by too much to catch up to Ken Fisher, but he's invalidated. He has invalidated on that lap, so nothing doing for the Aston Martin.
What is going on with my fucking microphone?
Well, we heard that one.
Oh, you heard me then?
Yeah.
I'm having technical difficulties with my microphone now for some reason. Now, I just thought something, so I apologize for not talking then. And microphone issues, it's like, fun. Can anything go right for me today? Apparently not.
Well, thankfully, we made it to the lobby, so that was something that has turned around, so the fortune's potentially turning around, and we've got one more lap to go for a lot of these drivers with 4 minutes and 32 left in the session. I'm sure that some of them will be even thinking about just continuing on and staying out and trying to burn that fuel, or maybe they're going to come out now and they're going to spend a couple of laps just getting their tyres, a little bit more worn, but getting that fuel a lot more down and sorting themselves out. Zedny Gorosh into the pit lane. Michal Kutsala, I'm sure, will be coming in as well, and Adinatux will be thinking about it. They're all in that final sector, as is Marcel Paps. We've got a McLaren already out onto the circuit, so very, very keen indeed to get going. Apologies for the language, if that's something that offends you. And Kutsala is going to come into the pit lane, and Ken Fisher, the one out of there. So the Thomas Enger sim racing driver looking keen to pounce upon the momentum he's had so far in this session, and hope to hold on to that pole position that he's in right now.
Yeah, if I was Marcel right now, I would be a little bit annoyed in validating it at 30.7.
Yes,
because I watched what his lap time was gonna be, so just curious. And it's like, yeah, man would have been provisional pole, but he bottled it out of the last corner. But expect a lot of people to invalidate laps there though, because you can always take it just a little bit wrong, and that's bye lap.
Well, I did say that earlier on. I said that was going to be a real tricky corner for the drivers, so it has proven to indeed be just that. And well, we'll see how they contend with the rest of this session, because Ken Fisher, with 3 minutes left on the clock, is going to be on that pole position. Alessandro Finn is going to be 7,000 behind him on that front row, and that's going to be something they're going to be desperate to contend with throughout the remainder of this race session. But yeah, it has been a very, very good start indeed for the two McLarens to this race weekend, and well, they'll be hoping to keep it going throughout the course of the season. And so far in PCF4, well, it's looked good for Marcel Paps. He currently leads that championship, and in fact, Ken Fisher did not start the first race of the season, and well, Alessandro Finn finished outside the points. This is going to be a good uptick in form.
Oh, definitely. If neither of them got points last week, if they stay at 1-2, it's double points finish, and it's double good for them.
Certainly will be. Excuse me, a 1-2 is very, very good indeed. A very good start, at least, indeed, for them, and they're going to want to make the most of it. Ken Fisher now through the first sector. He's not improving, so he is very much going for that strategy I mentioned, which is wear those tyres out a little bit, yes, but then also give yourself the best opportunity to get going, because they'll be in the best position to do so, where they're a little bit lighter, and you mentioned it earlier on, where that's going to be a crucial factor.
Oh, it definitely will be. Like, I'm not surprised he's going for the double out lap. Have you seen how much traffic he would have had to deal with if he was going full blast? Like, look at all that. Just look at all that traffic at turn 12, 13. Like, holy, you'd have to go through all that.
You certainly would, and that would be, as you say, an absolutely huge factor, and that's why we'll be seeing a lot of these drivers contending with that kind of thing throughout the session, throughout the season. I'm sure they'll be having a look at that, and I know that he would have gone out early because he knew he was going to get that traffic. If he didn't get that traffic, fine, he's got a clean run. If not, then he's going to have the opportunity to really go for it. And well, in this qualifying session, who would you say is going to be the favourite for pole from this position?
Well, with Marcel invalidating at that 30.7, I think he probably has a good chance of taking it, because he could certainly go faster, because it was close to a 0.6. So if he does that kind of lap time again, expect him to just steal that pole away from one of these McLarens.
He may well do, as Ken Fisher comes to the line and starts his final lap. All the other drivers have already started their final laps, apart from Zedny Gorosh, Michal Kutsala and Adinatux, who are coming around the final segments now. And we're going to get our first lap time on the board, I believe, of a Williams. That'll be Simone Equestre, who was going to be 6 thousandths down on his previous time. So that'll be the end of his qualifying session. Where's that V-Cub going to go of Jonas Orpel? He's going to actually leapfrog him. Where is Alessandro Finn in all of this? 0.036 down as the checkered flag is waved. He's not going to improve. He's not going to lose time. He sets an identical time. In fact, it was 1,000th different, but on the offset. Because of the fact that it's rounded, he's not going to set a different time at all. Lucas SL then up to third place. A good lap from him to take him onto the front 2 rows of the field. Tom Wolfgram around the final corner. He's on the back row of the grid. Where is he going to stick himself? Still the back row. Didn't quite improve upon his time. Then the Cadillac next to the line of Pascal Gill, who will be not improving once again. He invalidated anyway, so would not have improved on his time regardless. Just identifying the wrong team there. There we go. Spetzi to the line, improving. He's up to 7th. His teammate in the meantime, Neo Steins, will be in 8th as Marcel Pabst up to the top. Steins is invalidated. His lap would have been a 30.9. Next up is going to be the Mercedes of Dennis Kamensky up to the front row. This puts pressure on Ken Fisher, who's not improved in the first 2 sectors. Thomas Laminen going up to 3rd as well. Ken Fisher in 4th. Where will he find his time? He will jump back up to 3rd. It won't be pole though for himself, as there's a spin around the final corner for the Mercedes. Adinatuck's to the line, and he won't be improving on his time. Zetany Gondosh is the next one up to the line, as we of course see that Mercedes check the checkered flag and not improve. Gondosh then is going to improve a little bit. He's up to 10th. Jonas Orpel already set his time. Simone Equestre already set his time. So there's your grid for round 2 of F4.
And I'm going to say it right now, I called it.
Certainly did indeed. Marcel Pabst, I mean, we saw that he had the potential in that lap time that he set before that was invalid, but then he was able to replicate it again. But the pressure must be so high on these drivers as soon as they set a lap that could put them under pressure. Either way, this is going to be the grid for today's race. Marcel Pabst on that pole position, and Dennis Kamensky will be alongside him on the front row. Ken Fisher in 3rd, and Thomas Laminen will be in 4th. Alessandro Finn in 5th, and Lucas SL in 6th. Spetzi will be in 7th place with Neo Steins and Pascal Gill within 300ths of a second off. Pascal Gill 5,000ths off of Neo Steins. Then Zetany Gondosh another 5,000ths off of the back of Gill. Then we've got Michael Kutzela, Adinatuck, Jonas Orpel, Simone Equestre, Tom Wolfgram, and then Thomas Robotham to end off this grid. But a decent qualifying session for those drivers. One that changed right at the very end. And now we are ready to head to the race, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we will see what these drivers are going to be doing in this one. Of course, the Shanghai International Circuit, which is going to be a circuit that, I mean, I've bigged up a lot because I know that it's a very good circuit indeed. And we've talked about the overtaking opportunities around a couple of the corners, but we're going to wait to get them underway for round 2 of season number 43. But it should be a very, very good race indeed for the second race of the season, of course, early on in the campaign, so there's not going to be too much in terms of the way of championship to talk about. But yeah, the two McLarens will be promised by that time. The times that they set in qualifying, they'll be hoping to take them over to the race. It'll be a circuit that will be 5.451 kilometers long, or 3.384 miles. The race lap record is going to be a 132.2 from Michael Schumacher. Of course, we saw that beaten already, but that was in qualifying, so doesn't quite count. 16 corners around this circuit that has been active for 22 years. So we're going to be seeing a lot in terms of the racing action, and they are getting ready to get underway. Just getting their final checks before the green flag is going to wave. Who have you got your eye on in terms of the race?
I said, could be anyone's race really, but I'm still gonna, I'm gonna say Marcel's gonna take this from start to finish from pole, I believe. But as last week when I was commentating round 1 F5 last week of Rio, he put his money on the pole sitter. He got murdered on the first lap. So hopefully no commentator's curse for Marcel, I hope, today. But I can't wait to get ready with this action.
Yeah, it should be very good indeed to watch these drivers battle it out around 32 laps of the Shanghai International Circuit, or that's being, I believe, what the length of this race is going to be. And then we're going to watch them get underway in just a couple of minutes' time, because, of course, the drivers just have to do their final checks, and we'll see what they will do. Actually, it's 28 laps around this circuit, so I'm incorrect. And well, they've had the opportunity to watch what the F5 drivers did for the majority of the race earlier. They had the opportunity to see what the three drivers, if I can remember my numbers, did earlier. Do you think that's going to play into their race? Do you think that's going to give them a benefit?
Not sure. Honestly.
Well, of course, it is. These are only speculations. We will see what will happen as the race gets underway. 1 minute to green flag. It's like we've got the countdown timer on the bottom of the screens on on the F1 broadcast when they're getting ready to go to get to green flag racing, and you're watching the broadcast from about 20 hours before because you've tried to get in ahead of the curve, and you're on there because you'll forget that the race is on. Anyway, that's my experience. I'm not quite sure about anybody watching on. Make your predictions in the chat if you are active here tonight, and you can back whichever driver you see fit. Ready to go racing are the drivers, and so they will be readying up very, very soon indeed. And then we will be getting the green flag underway for race number 2 of the season. We had a race around Britain last week, and we've got an entirely new commentary team for round number 2 of the season. Usually on F5, on F3 even, but because of time constraints today, I have had the pleasure of moving to F4. Of course, you're usually on F5, and it was a shuffle around that has moved you alongside me in F4 here today, and it should be good fun to cover a new series. It's always good fun to cover a brand new group of drivers that you may well have not necessarily heard of before, although if you're in the sim racing scene, a lot of these names are going to be very well known. We're going to 5 red lights for round number 2 of the PSGL season, and the action is going to get underway now. Marcel Paps is going to be on the outside line, but Dennis Kamensky gets a better launch. Who's going to get the whole shot, as it were, into the first corner? It will also be Marcel Paps as Alessandro Finn moves around in the background. He's under pressure from Lucas SL now with that run that he got into the first corner, but no move just yet for Lucas SL. In fact, he drops back behind Spetsi. Zetani Gorosh is going to be in that 8th spot, trying to challenge with those 2 drivers as Lucas SL tries to regain that 7th spot, and they will be side by side. They will be duking it out as they head down towards turn number 4, but no doing just yet for Lucas, who's dropped back early on, but Marcel Paps, our early leader.
Seen a lot of shuffles around. I don't know what's happened to Neo Staines. He's kind of just been tagged around, so that's not a good start for him. Hello. We've got Luca and Spezzi here side by side. That is not a place I expect to see an overtake, though, to be fair. Turn 9 and 10. I was not expecting that.
No, definitely an interesting move indeed, but on lap 1 you do tend to take more risks as Spetsi tries to go past Alessandro Finn. Can't quite get the move done just yet. He's trying to shape it up. He's trying to find an opportunity to make his way through, but no dice just yet. There will be more opportunities throughout the course of this race, as of course we're still only on lap 1, as there may well be a move for the Cadillac further back. There may well be a move for the Audi right now on the inside line of Alessandro Finn. He went for it into the hairpin. Has he been able to pull that one off? Well, they're still side by side, heading to the final corner. In the end, the Audi yields. Alessandro Finn retakes the place, but he runs wide, and Spetsi may well, after all, get that place. Indeed, he does.
Yeah, definitely does. I was not expecting Alessandro there to just go a bit wide. Obviously, now he's under pressure here now from Zeteni. So this is like, he's not having a good start to this race.
No, not necessarily. If we have a look at our biggest gainers and our biggest losers, we've got 3 places gained for Zetani Godosh. We've got 2 for Spetsi, 4 for Thomas Robotham, who started at the back of the grid. Very good so far for him to gain all of those places up to 12. Michael Kutzela just taking his place back off of Tom Wolfgram further down the order. That'll be for 12th and 13th place, although Kutzela will still be under pressure from Wolfgram down the inside, and then around the outside of the next braking zone. It will be very, very tight between these 2 drivers, and Michael Kutzela is not holding anything back at this early stage of the race, running wide as Tom Wolfgram is almost going to force him into that position, and Wolfgram in the end is going to hold on, which means Kutzela is going to drop 3 places off the start. To the inside line, he looks to the end of sector number 2, and he's going to have a look to that inside still, and he's in the end going to be able to make that move. Wolfgram running wide.
Also as well, the interesting thing as well, Kusla is also the only person to start on hards. Everyone else is on mediums, which is an interesting one. So he's people looking to go long in this race. So why he's trying to fight this early, I don't know. I was like, just let these guys fight for a couple of laps because let their tyres go down. Then your tyres come into it, and then you can start taking places.
At this point in the game cycle, we have no idea what the tyres will be like. So you're absolutely right. We should be trying to stretch the tyres and see what they can do for the later stages of this game. But at this point in the season, I think it's just going to be all flat out for all of these drivers as they get to know their new foes, as it were, in this season of racing, and they're going to get the opportunity to learn them very well. Neo Steintz has unfortunately left the session. He will be DNFing from this race. He'll be the first of the 16 drivers to bow out, as there's the inside line for Kutsula once again, and he will be through on Thomas Robotham. So defending that 12th place is going to be successful on the end, and or in the end even, he's able to hold on to that place. Now we can try to push forward towards Simone Equestre, as now they've all gained one place off of Neo Steintz being out of the race on just lap number 3, and well, he's going to drop down 8. So he did start in 8th place, which means that Pascal Gill is going to be promoted to that spot. And as we get our DRS for the second time, or not DRS anymore, it'll be the straight mode for the second time, it provides a different dynamic into this race.
Oh, it does. These new regulations have just thrown everyone into chaos because DRS no more, it's now straight mode. That's also permanently active in certain parts of the track, and obviously now you've got the battery boost, which takes the place of DRS somewhat, because you have to be within a second of the car ahead to get the extra boost from the battery. Obviously, all these drivers except for Marcel and Jonas Opel will all have that extra power. As I just see one of the braking balls just get absolutely murdered by one of the drivers.
Yeah, they push it to the limit here, don't they? And sometimes they can push it a little bit over the limit and take out those barriers and those everything pretty much on this circuit. But yeah, we'll see these drivers as they continue their way through. There's a little bit of support in the chat for Neo Steintz, who didn't quite do as well as he would have liked to. And who do we think is winning? Well, I think Marcel Paps is going to be a good shout from earlier on in this race, when of course Piney predicted that it would be Marcel, and at the moment it looks as though he's in a very good position. But there's a long way to go. There's a lot to do in terms of making those moves and having those making those improvements and jumping up through the order. But we'll wait and see on lap 4. So still early stages in this race. Everybody's still within DRS apart from Jonas Orpel at the back of the field. If he's able to gain back in, then he's going to be in a very, very good place indeed. And we'll see. Hopefully he'll be able to make his way back into the pack. And we're on lap 4 of 28 right now. So we're going to be about a 7th through this race, and it's before the tyre wars have really begun.
It is. It's also just the question is when will these guys actually pit for new tyres? That's one thing to keep track of.
Certainly is indeed. Marcel Paps all over the back of Dennis Kamensky. So Kamensky did actually make that move whilst we were talking a minute ago, and now Paps is looking to have this go back around the outside maybe, but Kamensky just cuts it off. But this may well be a competition for that first place in this race. I'm sure that Marcel Paps is going to want it back, and he's going to make that very, very clear against this driver in front. Having a look at making a go very, very, very soon indeed. Just having a look at jumping up, but no doing just yet for Marcel Paps, because being in the lead of this race isn't necessarily the best place to be.
No, not. Well, it depends on what track. This one's probably not the best because of the amount of places where people can just chuck it up your inside.
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities for gambled moves, as we found out on lap 1. And so now that we're on lap 5, the drivers settling into their rhythm a little bit more. So we're seeing a couple of less gambles than we did at the start of the race, but I'm sure they'll be coming into it later on. They saw that they saw that other people were successful, and they might be thinking, we could give this one a go very soon indeed. But yeah, at the moment it looks absolutely fine. Thomas Laminen then is going to be chasing in behind Alessandro Finn, and he's going to be trying to pressure the back of the McLaren. Wants the DRS, or wants to be staying within that DRS range. We're still getting used to the new regulations, and as such, it's I talk about that DRS range. It's going to be very, very interesting indeed to see the drivers stay within that range, because of course DRS is not a thing anymore, as we're still seeing side by side. This is great racing between Thomas Laminen and Alessandro Finn. Laminen to the inside of the final corner. He's able to just about squeeze alongside, and he's just about able to squeeze ahead. But there may well be a move back into turn number 1. Alessandro Finn having a look, but he's under pressure now from Lucas SL. The Red Bull looking to the outside. The McLaren switching to the inside. Laminen can't quite jump through, can't quite get through on the Alpine, but on the exit of the corner has a look. But once again, no dice.
Yeah, and also though, with all that fighting, they've actually lost a second now to the top 5, so that's not going to be helpful if that gap stays like that when they come to their next lap. So
no, not necessarily. Not necessarily well planned in terms of the race, but it was certainly good racing. And Thomas Laminen 1.3 off the back now. He'll be wanting to make his way back in very, very soon indeed on the leading pack, and he's actually making good inroads. He's 1.5 behind, 1.15 behind, but you can imagine this is taking a toll on the tyres.
oh yeah, definitely. 'Cause he's having to put more load on those tires to try and catch back up, more pace, and he's barely outside the 1 second. There we go. It keeps fluctuating between 0.9 and 0.11.
Does indeed. Does indeed. And we will see these drivers continue to duke it out as they go. Marcel Paps got close once again to the back of Denis Kamensky, but no move once again for himself. Not deciding to go for that move, deciding to sit back, and he's about 2/10 of a second off of the back of Kamensky. Is he going to get close on this lap, or is it going to be a next lap out case? He's going to have a look to the outside here, but no dice for the TC driver. He had a look at Kamensky, and that might lose him a bit of time. Ken Fisher will be right in range as well, and will be having a look, but no dice once again for him. And I need to stop saying that, but it's definitely demonstrative of what these drivers are doing so far, where they're getting close, but they're not quite getting close enough to make these moves just yet, but they're certainly threatening.
They certainly are, and they've all just got back into one long train again.
Well, that seems to be the way that they need to be racing on this game, I think, is sitting in that range, as we are now going to be a quarter of the way through the race, 25% of it done, and we've still got plenty of it to go. Simon Equestre and Thomas Robotham have dropped out of that 1 second window. Tom Wolfgram's trying to stay with Thomas Robotham and hoping that he'll be able to catch up back to Simon Equestre, and then Michael Kutsala within the this little group. Pascal Gil potentially is going to break free and be in that 9th place, unfortunately, with Lucas SL over a second ahead, and then Adina Tux and Kutsala will be caught in that gap, and 0.3 of difference between Kamensky and Paps as they head down towards the hairpin. But I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move. I don't think he's really pushing at this point. I think he's just trying to stay within range.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed. You've got these drivers are being tactical of when they want to overtake, because obviously as well the pits as well could be another factor as well when they all decide to have their pit stops. So many different things can play into effect.
Yeah, certainly can indeed. They can give themselves the opportunity. Marcel Paps close once again into the first couple of corners on the racetrack, but yeah, he's still waiting in behind, and well, we'll be wanting to. I think at this point he's going to be thinking about just sitting in behind, but then maybe later on in the race he's going to want to consider making a move, and well, he'll be 0.3 off of the back right now, so still waiting, still watching, and well, if he doesn't pounce, then Ken Fisher will be able to pounce on him, and Spezia will be able to pounce on him, and then Zetany Godosh will be not too far off the back. If they start to lose a little bit of time, then they could be within range of each other soon.
Yeah, definitely could. It's just when all these drivers decide to grow a pair and actually make some moves to make it entertaining for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are very much managing at the moment in this race. I think that's going to be the case for the next maybe 15 laps, and then they start to duke it out. That was the case on F125. The old cycle anyway, as Michael Kutsala is going to get through on Adina Tux. Maybe that's the proof in the pudding that the hard tyres are going to be the better ones. It's going to be a move for the lead of the race as well. Denis Kamensky under pressure as Marcel Paps looks to the inside of the hairpin. Who will get the run out of that hairpin? It will be Kamensky, who clings onto the place. A couple of potential moves further back as well. I saw Spezia out of line, but Kutsala now up into the top 10.
Very nice. Obviously as well, I expect at this point as well, his hard tyres will be a lot better than these medium runners right now, so expect him to have a lot of pace right now.
Yeah, certainly so. Michael Kutsala now through on Pascal Gil. Gil's going to give him a fight back on the inside. Is Pascal going to be able to hold on to position, or is it going to be that the better tyres for Michael Kutsala are going to see him through? That will be the case for the Thomas Enger Sim Racing driver. He's through. Pascal Gil having a look back, but nope. No move for the Cadillac. 1.7 the gap between Kutsala and Lucas SL up ahead, so it's going to be game on now in terms of the chase.
Yep. The question is, how quick will Kusala catch up? Like, I'll give it until the end of the next lap. He's gonna catch up before then, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we'll of course see whether that is going to be the case. Kutsala certainly showed good pace so far on these hard compounder tyre, and he will be trying to make his way within range of Lucas SL once again in terms of slipstream. I need to start calling it slipstream range rather than DRS range, because that's the way that it has been so far in terms of that's going to be the difference, as you've seen something.
Yeah, Ferrari just went very wide at 13, and now he's the Ferrari in question is down in 11th. He's now under pressure from Simon, but looks like Lucas and Finn are fighting over 7th.
Yeah, they are indeed, as we're going to be seeing our first couple of pit stops on lap number 9 of this race. We've seen Marcel Pabst take the lead of the race because Dennis Kamensky has come in, Ken Fisher, Thomas Lamin and Adinatuk Simon Equestre as well. So we're going to have 5 drivers into the pit lane, including 2 of our 3 leaders.
Yep. Also, so I just want to point out as well, Kusala on the hards was like a full second faster than the guys on the medium tyres last lap around. So it's definitely time for some of these drivers to pit. It's just, how much will Dennis gap Marcel when Marcel decides to pit? That is the bigger question.
Yeah, indeed, that is certainly one of the biggest questions. As more drivers have fallen out of range. That'll be Pascal Gil, Alessandro Finn and Spezzi all outside of the 1 second window. The drivers are up ahead, and then Thomas Rowbottom and Tom Wolfgram. There's now a 3 second gap between those 2 drivers. Dennis Kamensky is able to clear Jonas Orpel. That could be important, because that means he's got clean air to warm up those tyres and catch up to Rowbottom.
Just Jonas is going to be easy pickings here for Ken next, as Ken's going to just send it up the inside of turns 9 and 10. Obviously leaving plenty of space for Jonas. Obviously just still on those medium tyres he started with.
Indeed, and Thomas Lamina might do the same thing as, well, I've just had a look back at that at Ferrari spearing off the circuit. I didn't see it because it was so quick. But yes, that is a very, very interesting indeed to watch these drivers go at it, as into the pits comes Paps, into the pits comes Spezzi, into the pits comes Finn. So we're going to watch on board with Laminen as he tries to make this overtake on Jonas Orpel. Then we'll cut back to our race leader. Then there he goes down the inside through on the V-carb and jumping up a place. Then we'll have a look. We'll watch with Dennis Kamensky. Where is the Mercedes going to come out? Is he going to be in the lead of the race? Has the undercut worked? Well, there's going to be a couple of drivers coming out of the pit lane now. Marcel Paps is one of them, and he will be behind. He may well even be behind Ken Fisher, who heads into turn number 1 now. And actually, no, Marcel Paps just ahead, but Ken, with those warmer tyres, will be wanting to try to pressure the Aston Martin. He's all over the back right now. He feels as though this is his opportunity to fight with Paps and to maybe jump back up into second place, as Kutsala still making the most of those hard compound tyres through on Lucas SL. But the most interesting fight out there on the circuit, Paps defending against Fisher, defending against Spezzi.
Yeah, well, I say, well, it depends how Ken. See if Ken can actually put some pressure on Marcel, but he might not want to. He might want to try and let Marcel with the one lap fresh tyres, which I suppose is not going to make a difference. He'll probably try and just use Marcel to catch up to Dennis ahead, so we have one long trend. Like, he's doing it rather quickly as well. So Marcel definitely has the pace.
He certainly does. And yeah, he's doing very well so far, as there's going to be a few swaps further back. Pascal Gil is going to gain that place off of Jonas Orpel, and it's still going to be side by side at Adinatux and Simon Equestre. It will be Adinatux who makes his way through on Simon, and now he'll be having a look at the drivers up ahead. Jonas Orpel will be the next one under pressure, as they're side by side between Pascal Gil and Alessandro Finn, and this could be very important indeed for these 2 drivers' races, as Gil makes his way through on Finn, and Tom Wolfgram Tom Wolfgren with the 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Very unfortunate there, and Lucas SL is going to come into the pits, not have the same fate. And where is the Red Bull going to come out? He, of course, has an early pit stop because that Red Bull team is early on in the pit lane. We might get 3 wide right behind him, though. There we go. They've sorted themselves out. It'll be a dinner tux to Simon Equestre, to Jonas Orpel with the worn tyres. It was side-by-side up ahead into turn 1 with Alessandro Finn and Pascal Gill. And now Lucas SL throws himself into the mix.
Have 2 fresher tyres than these guys, so he's definitely in a good position. I'm like already up the gearbox already of Pascal Gill ahead of him. So we'll try and make his way through very quickly, because obviously these guys are like 5 seconds off the back of Lanham ahead.
Yeah, at the moment, and they're losing time lap by lap, so they're going to want to gain their way back in, and yeah, it's going to be a good opportunity for them to try to do that. Zedny Gondosh is going to be 1.5 ahead of Michael Kudzela. Those are the only drivers not to have come into the pit lane, apart from Jonas Orpel, who's down the order anyway, so I'm not counting him into the factor here. Those drivers up at the top, Gondos has taken these mediums so very far, so it's a demonstration that they can indeed do that, and he hasn't been quite that slow, but at the moment you'd imagine that surely he'll be boxing at the end of this lap.
You would certainly think so, but it's just obviously compare this year's cars to last year's. The tyres last a hell of a lot longer than they normally do, because basically on the 25 cars, they would have already pitted by now by the end of lap 10. With the 26 cars, they can go even further, because Taiwan doesn't seem to think these cars are smaller and lighter than last year's cars. So I guess that plays a factor into it as well.
Yeah, they're going to be flying through, and they do seem to be a little bit more nimble, especially the drivers that are behind the wheel. They're going to be yeah, making it a little bit more interesting in terms of the fighting. Tom Wolfgren through on Jonas Orpel as we wait for the V-Cub surely to come into the pit some point soon, as those medium tyres don't seem to be working for him, and he'll be wanting to climb up the order late on in the race with potentially even soft tyres if he stretches these ones very long indeed. And yeah, we will watch them continue to duke it out throughout the course of this race, unless Jonas Orpel loses time, which is exactly what he's going to do. Maybe he has a late stage charge in this race, as the gap between Kudzela and Kamensky at the top of the field is going to be 12.4 seconds. Last lap around, it was, well, less than that as Orpel lets Rowbottom go. It was going to be 14.5 seconds between Kudzela and Kamensky, so that's going to be 2 seconds gain, and Gondos into the pit lane. Kudzela is going to continue on, so he'll take a race lead, and it will be briefly 1-2 for the Mercedes team. And that's not a bad start indeed. And, well, Lucas SL is going to make his way through on Pascal Gill. That's a swap for the bottom of the top 10.
Yeah, just notice, well, this gap between Marcel and Dennis is just not getting any smaller. But to be fair, though, Marcel was like 4/10 faster than Dennis at last lap around. So that'll explain why he's so close now.
Yeah, indeed it will.
They're all matching each other for lap times on my little telemetry I have on my second monitor.
Yeah, it's a good way to keep up to date with it, the telemetry. I didn't get it up, but that's because I was trying to sort out the stream just before we got going live. And, well, we had about 30 seconds of actual stream before we went back to the intermission, because I don't know, it was a really odd one. But yeah, now we've been able to get back going, and we are halfway through our race. The F5 race unfortunately got cut short on lap 22. Hopefully we're going to be able to get the second half of the race fully for these drivers. And yeah, I mean, it's been a good race so far. Michael Kudzela, the only driver going on that different strategy, so I'll be interested to see how that pays off, as now it's quite clear that those hearts are not operating quite as good.
Nope, because he did last lap. He did a 1:36.1, where Dennis did a 34.4. So like a full 1.7 faster.
Yeah.
And look at that, Marcel's now finally caught up to Dennis, so we can have game on for race lead.
We certainly can indeed, can't we, Marcel? Perhaps 5/10 off of the back of Dennis Kamensky, wanting to make that move. He's got 1 lap younger tyres, and they will be a little bit fresher, depending on how much Dennis Kamensky pushed on that outlap, which you'd imagine was quite a lot, so he was able to stay within range. But yeah, the Mercedes at the moment wanting to stay ahead of Pabst and hold on to position. Ken Fisher with the same length of laps as Dennis Kamensky's got. Spetzi with the same as Pabst. So you'd imagine they're going to be trying to launch an attack on the two that have slightly older tyres. Then there's going to be about 7/10 of a second between Spetzi and Thomas Laminen, who'll be the next one up. And then Lucas SL 5 seconds down the road. So those top 6, or those top 5, if we are disregarding Kutsala for now, is going to be really, really close indeed. As Zetny Gondos shows the difference between those 3 laps of wear on those hards. He makes his way past the Dinnertucks.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think where would Kutsala come out? I think he'd probably come out where Wolfgram is, or maybe just behind. So we'd have a lot of ground to catch up. So it's like, I also think he made a mistake on his last lap around because it was in the 37s. So it's like, I think he's made a small blunder on his last lap around. Oh, as we got fighting for the lead here. Well, provisional race lead.
We certainly do. Marcel Pabst on the inside. Dennis Kamensky trying to go the long way around, and he can't quite find his way through, so sits right back in behind. Pabst does take that lead. Kamensky continues to look for it, but he can't quite do so. We've had a swap for what could be the provisional race lead, and we're going to watch as Dennis Kamensky has that slipstream heading down towards turn 1. Ken Fisher having a look as well at the back of that Mercedes. No dice for him. No dice for Kamensky. Pabst has the lead.
Yep, Pabst making the moves. Pretty much where I expect most drivers to make it at turn 14. Obviously, Kubinsky trying to keep it around the outside for the final corner, but could not quite get that done. And so rightly so, Marcel into what is provisional race lead, and Kutsala eventually pits.
Yeah, he will be boxing and making that switch very soon, you would imagine, for those sets of medium tyres. 7 seconds ahead of Marcel Pabst at the moment, so the gap, whilst it was coming down dramatically, it's not quite as dramatic as it was, so maybe he's really put the burners on and tried to build up that gap as, well, he'll be coming back out of the pit lane, and you'd imagine he'll be behind Adinatux or Simon Equestre, somewhere around there, maybe even behind Wolfgram. So he's got a lot of work to do late on in this race as the Thomas Enger Sim Racing driver, but I mean, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. They know that for next time, but unfortunately, that means that everyone else also knows that for next time.
As I said, it depends. If the entire grid starts on hards, then that would have been different. But now everybody opted to start mediums. So obviously can't fault the driver for trying, as he's still going apparently. I thought he would have pitted this lap off the 16-lap old hard tyres, but I guess he doesn't want to.
He might be trying to go all the way to... So we saw the first drivers coming into the pit lane after 8 laps on those medium tyres because they boxed on lap 9. So maybe Kutsala is trying to do a similar thing, but this time doing it in reverse. So give it a couple more laps, then he'll decide to come in, because we saw the earliest pit stops that we saw were on lap number 9. So if we're taking that and running with it, it's going to be 9 laps to go for Kutsala. So it'll be on lap number 19 when we see the Mercedes finally duck into the pit lane. So that'll be a late box, but I don't hate the idea.
No, I don't. But the thing is, though, Marcel obviously now being in front of the train. He took 2 seconds out of Kutsala last lap, so
yeah, as soon as
over 2 seconds, so that's not good.
As soon as I said that gap wasn't really coming down, I think Marcel perhaps might be listening in, and he's decided to really put the burners on, really start to have a push towards the car in front, and he'll be trying to make that move some point soon, I'm sure, unless Kutsala does back out of this run. But it does mean that these drivers who boxed quite early are going to be on really, really old hard compounder tyre. They'll be on a similar age to what Kutsala has, but then they'll be even older, just a couple of laps older, but those couple of laps could make a huge amount of difference. Kutsala is boxing on this lap, so he's going to do 11 laps on that set of medium compounder tyre when he comes out of the box, and we're going to head on to lap 18 with our race leader Marcel Pabst reinstated.
Yeah, and it seems to be. I've been constantly looking at his lap times as well. He's constantly averaging like the between 34.4 and 34.7. So he's doing pretty well on those hards.
Certainly is indeed doing pretty well on those tyres so far. And I mean, he's not going to want to let that momentum slip at all in this race, you would imagine, because, well, I mean, I'm sure he won't want to let that momentum slip at any point because he's doing such a good job at the moment of holding on to them. And yeah, it's all about that tyre wear, isn't it? When you start to learn a new game cycle, if you're able to nail that tyre wear, you're going to put yourself at a significant advantage, at least at the start of the season, whilst everybody else gives themselves the opportunity to learn it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's also bear in mind, still only a couple months old this year's game, so there's still quite a lot to learn. Meta constantly changing as well with these setups they're running as well.
Yeah, it's they'll be. I'm sure if China comes back on the calendar, they're going to be running a completely different setup to the one that they had before. Lap 18 of 28, and we've got Marcel Paps in the lead of our race. Where has Michael Kutzela come out? Well, the answer to that question is going to be right at the back of the field, where he's only ahead of Thomas Rowbottom and Jonas Orpel. Orpel, who's really had a struggle of a day today, so I'm not factoring him into the equation. I'm only factoring in Michael Kutzela and Rowbottom, who's only about 3 seconds off of the back of Kutzela as it stands. And yeah, they will continue to try to chase down on our race leaders. A good start to his stint means that he's only going to be about 4 seconds off of the back of Tom Wolfram, so still a big opportunity to catch up and make that move, especially with what are now, and what will be for likely the next 7-ish laps, the better tyres.
Yep, certainly. I'm also just having a look at these all these warnings as well. Like obviously Simon's the only person to pick up 3 seconds. I've got Thomas Rowbottom on 2, where there's like a few other people on 1. So obviously Thomas has got to be careful not to pick up that 3rd one. So interesting.
Yeah, of course, nobody wants that 3rd warning, do they, in any race, let alone an esport race, and then they can pick up that 3-second time penalty, which can quickly compound and become very, very bad indeed. Lap 19 of 28, and this is where we're going to be seeing those drivers start to struggle on those hard compound tyres. This is where the switchover was between the mediums and the hards, so I think that it'll be within the next 1 or 2 laps where they become really not the greatest tyres in the world. And yeah, we will see where they will stack up at the end of this race, which is not too far away now. It's gone by in a flash, as PSGL races always do. And if you'd like to watch more PSGL races, we've got plenty on the channel. We've got every single Thursday, apart from the Thursdays we're not racing, which are going to be the break weeks in the calendar. You can check them out by going to the various social media platforms, the PSGL, and just type in PSGL. We'll be there. Michael Kutzela, by the way, sets the fastest lap in the chase to Tom Wolfgram, who tries to make a move on Simon Equestre, but is not going to be close enough into turn number 1. If you want to watch more racing action from PSGL, well, you've got the option to do that right here on this YouTube channel. You can just subscribe and you can be around for the racing in the PC tiers, which is what you're watching on right now. And then there's also the PS tiers, which are potentially future PC stars, because I think that a lot of the drivers, especially this year's game, have made that switch over to the PC side and will be hoping to make their name. We've seen plenty of PSGL champions. We've seen plenty of real life racers come from that as well. And if you know a little guy, you might not know him, by the name of Isaac Hadjar, raced in the PS side as well. So we've got plenty of names that could become future big stars. So you could be right in there, and you could claim that you raced against the next Isaac Hadjar from the PSGL ranks. So if you'd like to do that, you can join the Discord. You can get involved. There's still, I believe, there's still going to be some reserve spots opening up later on in the season. Although PSGL, of course, being PSGL, it's a very in-demand league indeed. We might have a move here from Tom Wolfgram on Simon Equestre and trying to pick that move back up. Indeed he does. Michael Kutzela only a second off of the back, and you feel as though this is going to be his first opportunity trying to make a move. If he fluffs his lines, that's going to be curtains in terms of his chase for anywhere near the top echelons of the points.
Yeah, well, Simon also just had a little wobble coming out the final corner, and Kutzela is like 2 full seconds faster than these guys ahead of him right now, but that's to be expected with fresh mediums compared to their hards. So he'll be. Well, he's already all over the back of Simon, so he might make a move as they come towards turn 6. Might go try for it on the inside, and he's going to as well. Later on the brakes, gets the move done up the inside.
Up the inside, and the move made for Michael Kutsala. That's the first one picked off. The next one on his hit list is going to be Tom Wolfgram. Where can he find this move? As Jonas Orpel is going to get past Thomas Rowbottom, who's in the pit lane. The Aston Martin is going to be looking to defend from Kutsala. Then they've got a bit of a gap between Adinatux and Pascal Gill, so those gaps opening up is going to work against Kutsala, because it means he's not going to be able to make the move. He's got a good run here, though, on the Aston Martin. He's going to look to the inside line. Is he going to be able to brake later? No, he's not. He'll save it for the straight.
Unless he fancies it around the outside of this corner, or up the inside if he's brave enough, and he's going to be brave enough to try it as well. Holy.
He is indeed. And Michael Kutsala is going to make that move up a place into 11th. Now, Adinatux next up. He's going to give it a go. And is this going to be a move, or is this going to be a move back even from the Aston Martin? Nope. Wolfgram backs out. Kutsala couldn't quite decide, so he's going to be out of this race. And Thomas Rowbottom has decided to retire on the track. So that'll be something that will be talked about, I'm sure, in the stewards' room later on. Adinatux dropping down places like a stone. He's past Kutsala, and Wolfgram gets through too.
Yeah, Adinatux definitely had some kind of snap out of the hairpin, so that's why he's dropped back. And obviously now both Wolfgram and looks like Sam's going to try and get past him as well. But he's going to try around all the way around the outside. No, he's going to stay. Dino's going to stay ahead.
We are indeed going to see that happen, and wow, this is going to be maybe a move on for Equestria and Adinatux further down this order. And yeah, we will see these drivers continue to scrap it out. Spetzi ahead of Thomas Laminen as well in 4th and 5th place, and there may well be a fight between those two drivers very, very soon. Ken Fisher as well trying to defend ahead of Spetzi for that podium. It wasn't a great first round for the McLaren team, but they've been able to pick it up today, and Ken Fisher, who was not even able to start the last race, will be looking to come home in a podium spot.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Alessio Finn here. He's right at the back of Lucas, but he's been like that for quite a few laps. But he looks closer than he's ever been, but he's not going to, again, just not going to challenge Lucas. That's probably something that's going to happen for the last lap, unless he's going to try it on the brakes. Never mind. I'll shut my mouth. He's going to do it now.
Indeed, and there's also going to be a move for Spetzi on Ken Fisher up to that podium spot. So I think I might have jinxed the McLaren, but we never know. He could make his way back through. We've made it past F5. We've made it to lap 23, and hopefully we should have a stable connection to the end of this race as well. Lucas SL as well, having a go at the back of Alessandro Finn. He'll be wanting to make that move soon, but no move just yet for the driver currently. Excuse me, sitting in 7th place, wanting to challenge for that 6th. That Red Bull really is beautiful, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
It really is. And,
I'm just wondering, if, since Ken lost to that podium, and now obviously him, Spezzi and Thomas Laminen have actually dropped out of the 1 second to Dennis ahead, I'm just wondering if Ken had a little snap of oversteer or something and just lost time, so that's how Spezzi got past him so quick. Where is Spezzi just gone? Safety car deployed. What just happened to Spezzi?
Spetzi has gone off of the road. He's gone into the wall, and that will be a safety car indeed. That's an interesting one there for the Audi driver to cause that safety car, and that's very unfortunate indeed. We unfortunately did not see it, but we did see the retirement of Spetzi, who will be he just flew into the wall. I'm not quite sure what happened there. If we do get the perspective of Spetzi, then we will be able to share it with you, but the safety car's out. This will be changing the race significantly later on.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is everyone going to box then for soft tyres at this point? Definitely looks like it, because all the leaders are in. Yeah, they're all in.
They are indeed. This is going to be the opportunity to box for everybody. So, Alessandro Finn's really stuffed here.
Yep. So I guess Jonas Orpel's now back in this race. And
Yes.
you said he was out of there. Man stayed in, and he's gonna get a chance to possibly score some points. But yeah, I think what might have happened to Spezzi, like, I was watching from Kevin Fisher. He was on the screen for 1 second, and 2 seconds later, his car just disappeared. Literally just vanished.
We'll try to...
So I'm not telling you what happened, because where he crashed was on the exit of turn 10. So what might have happened, he might have got a bit wide and put the power down too early and just spun himself towards the wall, because I did see a broken front wing on the floor on the exit of turn 10.
I'll tell you something. That's exactly what's happened, because I found the clip on Spetsy's Twitch channel. I'll try to get it onto the stream by the end of it. Of course, ignoring all the obscenities that were said, because when you're racing, it can be a little bit difficult to not have those moments where you where you get a little bit passionate. And yeah, he's not happy about that one in any way, shape, or form, as Spetsy. So that's going to be him out of this race, and that's a big shame for himself indeed. And yeah, most of the drivers on soft. Marcel Pabst on a set of hards.
That's a mistake. And obviously Thomas Lamron, Lesser Finn, and Simon also all are on mediums. So Marcel may have screwed himself here, unless the game has done a whoopsie from his selected soft tyres. The game says no, you're gonna have these hard tyres. I've seen this bug happen before. Yeah, I believe it happened. When did it happen last for me? Like, it happened like a couple of weeks ago when I was commentating another race league. So I have seen this bug happen before, if that is the case for Marcel. If it's not, then oh dear, that's a big oops on his part.
He's not coming in, so he's going to continue on for another lap of racing on these tyres. We're just going to go to the pause menu quickly, because I have been able to catch that Spetsy clip for everybody. I will get that up on the stream as soon as I possibly can. Of course, making sure to mute the clip, but yeah, because I don't understand his...
we don't want that fruity language.
Well, you're one to talk. We did have something earlier on, but yeah, that's you're absolutely right. We do not indeed. I apologise on your behalf. Do not worry about it. But yeah, we are having a look at what's happened with Spetsy. As I'm going to try to get the right capture up, and then I'll be able to show everybody what happened to that in that incident indeed. So here we are. This is going to be a cut over to Spetsy's POV. Now, let's see what's happened here. He's just put the power down too early. He's just opened up that mode, that ERS mode, just too early, and that'll be it for his race, unfortunately. But yeah, that's going to be a huge shame. It's going to feel like a sting in the side, because he was running so very well, potentially even on for something along the lines of a race lead.
It was on the podium before that, and it's like he could have easily kept it, but just one small mistake can just absolutely ruin your race. And unfortunately, Spezzy, it's unfortunate when it happens, but he'll have to move on, look forward to next week. Why is it taking Jonas so long to cash the back of the safety car line?
I reckon I'm not quite sure, but yeah, Jonas Orpel, I think he's done that, and he's just trying to get himself sorted out. And well, we're going to watch as maybe we're going to go for another lap under the safety car, which means we're going to have only 2 laps of racing to go. Is it going to be a late call for the safety car, or is he going to stay up for another lap? It looks as though we're going to be seeing Bernd Mailander going for another lap around the circuit, which means we get the chance talk about next week. And well, next week's going to be once again another interesting race. We're going to head to Belgium.
I do love a good Spa race.
Well, lots of people's not their favourite circuit necessarily, although it's got to be up there for me. But everybody likes Spa. I think it's one of those circuits that when it's off the Formula 1 calendar, when they finally are successful in killing it, which seems to be the way that they'd like to go, then it will be a huge shame. A lot of drivers and people, spectators alike, will be missing it, because it is a very, very good circuit indeed. So one of those where we could be seeing we could be seeing plenty of action out there, because it is a really good track for just that.
Yeah, so I've commentated on quite a few Spa races already on this game cycle, and holy crap, the places people can actually make overtakes now with this battery, it's unfreaking believable.
See all of these drivers trying to take those chances, I'm sure, as we saw them having a scrap earlier on for position in all sorts of places on this lap and on the in this race. But yeah, we will see these drivers indeed chasing as the safety car is going to come in on this lap, and we're going to be seeing Marcel Paps lead the way on those hard compound tyres for the last 2 laps of this race. We've only got 2 laps of racing remaining, and Marcel will take us onto it with those hard. So this will be really fascinating to see. A huge shame if this one doesn't pay out for Marcel, because he's managed this race so very well, but he's on that set of hards. Dennis Kamensky and Ken Fisher will be licking their lips right in behind. Thomas Laminen on those mediums. He's joined on a set of those yellow wall tyres by Alessandro Finn and Simon Equestre, who has a penalty, so unfortunately his participation in the fight for the top 10 will be disregarded. Everybody else on a set of the softs, and you feel as though those are the only right tyres to be on for now. Kamensky, Fisher, Lucas and Zeteni Gondosh are going to be the drivers I'm going to be looking out for, unless Thomas Laminen can do something magical and hold on to those tyres for as long as he possibly can. They are just rolling around the final few corners then, and then we will get ready to be underway for the next lap of this race and the actual racing to get back underway. Here we go then. 2 laps left to go here in PSGL, and it will be Marcel Paps who leads the way. He gets a good launch, and he's going to need that good launch with Dennis Kamensky challenging into the first corner. Able to hold on to it though for the time being, although Kamensky on the outside line as they head through to turn number 3. Marcel Paps taking a massively defensive line that's going to hold Kamensky off and push him potentially into Ken Fisher, who's ready to give him a go, ready to give him a fight, because he feels as though he could be in the fight for the race lead as well. Who is going to come out on top right now? For now at least, it's Marcel Paps.
Yeah, because all of them are looking very close to each other, and it's just like, look at Dennis. Oh, he's going to try around all the way around the outside of 7 here to have the inside for 80. He definitely is, and up into the lead goes Dennis.
What a move from Dennis Kamensky then up into the lead of the race, and you felt as though he needed to take an opportunity because Marcel Paps was looking astute with his defences, and well, we will watch those drivers continue as they race on, and the gap now 0.4 of a second. That feels as though it can only improve with the state of the tyres right now and the state of those soft compound tyres. They are going to be absolutely pin perfect. So 2 laps to go, almost on to 1, and it looks as though we're going to have our race leader of Dennis Kamensky. Can Marcel Paps almost do Kamensky a favour by trying to hold on to P2 here, because he's done a fantastic job in defending, but couldn't quite do it on Dennis Kamensky because he was surprised with that move. But is Kamensky going to hold on to that position? I'm sure he will. Ken Fisher, though, ready to be the next challenger on the back. Marcel Paps ready to defend as well. Kamensky with the fastest lap of the race, showing the prowess he's got in that car as they head on to the final one. And it will be Marcel Paps to be in P2 into the first couple of corners. Moves further back, Simon Equestre making moves, but of course he's got those that penalty, so he won't be fighting it out for position right now, which is a huge shame knowing the way that his race has gone. But either way, he'll be taking that promise and taking that hope from this race onwards onto the next. Then we've got Marcel Paps 0.5 off of the back. Didn't take the opportunity that Dennis Kamensky did on the previous lap, did Ken Fisher. I think this may well be all said and done in terms of this race lead. You never quite know, though. There could be a mistake drawn out from the Mercedes, but he's done such a good job to run into this race the way that he has. The lead at the moment by 0.3 of a second. An incredible move around the outside. Took the opportunity and then watched Marcel Paps defend. Thomas Laminen even might be getting close to the back of Fisher, as of course 4 laps on those softs. They were mostly under the safety car. They may well take their toll. Paps has one more opportunity. He'll be sitting in the slipstream as they head down to the hairpin. He's gaining. Has this hard tyre strategy been offset by the pace of the TC driver around the outside. He looks, there's contact between the two. Paps sends plate off, and this race might well be decided in the steward's room. But the one thing is for sure, and that will be that Dennis Kamensky is in the lead of it, and he will win this one on track. Marcel Paps through in P2, and Thomas Laminen P3, just about ahead of Ken Fisher. Lucas SL in 5th, and Zetany Gondosh close in 6th. What an end to a race, and I'm sure, as I say, it's not quite done.
No, it is not, because I believe that could be a penalty possibly coming Dennis's way for that late defence at the hairpin, but we'll only have to wait and see what happens. But I am rather impressed that someone actually eventually made a move around turn 7 and 8. I was waiting for that all race long, and I finally got it on the second to last lap, so I'm happy.
There we go then, what a race we saw from these drivers, and our race victor is going to be, of course, Dennis Kamensky, who led at the end of the race. He was able to hold off the pressure of Marcel Paps, who in fairness did a very good job on those hards, and you could only imagine what he could have done on those softs. Thomas Laminen in 3rd place and Ken Fisher in 4th, with Lucas SL 5th and Zetany Gondosh behind. Then Alessandro Finn dropped down from 5th to 7th place. He won't be happy with the way his race has gone. Michael Kutzela went for that gambled overcut, and I don't think we were able to see the full extent of the strategies because he had to come in under the safety car. Pascal Gill and Tom Wolfgram will round out the top 10. Adina Tux, Jonas Orpel and Simona Questre will round out our finishers with Spetzi, Thomas Robotham and Neo Steintz rounding out our order for today's racing action. But that's going to be it for the action on track. We may well be getting, as I say, some action in the stewards room afterwards, because that was a big shame right at the very end of the race to see it decided that way, where there was contact and there was a front wing off, and as I say, may well not be over in terms of the debate.
We'll have to wait and see.
We will indeed, as we are going to be going to, I'm sure, some interviews at some point soon. Drivers like to have opinions, and we like to share those opinions with everybody. But for now, we're going to cut back to the camera screens, and we're going to cut back to both of our beautiful faces as we head on to talking about the next couple of weeks, potentially, as, well, it's going to be, as I say, a really good race at Belgium, isn't it?
I'm just curious, are we gonna anybody want to hop in?
Yeah, we will see whether they will indeed. I've just asked them to see if any of them want an interview. They've decided to scrap it out in the chat anyway, so they're just going to be, you know, tussling in there as they tend to do after each and every race. Everyone gets really, really heated after every race, as you can imagine, because it's a high pressure environment. They are all rapid drivers, so it's going to be really, really high intense. But yeah, a very, very good race indeed. Who would you say has been your driver of the day?
I know Marcel didn't win the race, but honestly, the man that controlled that race rather well when he was in the lead, and even when he was fighting with Dennis for the win, I'll still have to give it to Marcel because he just had so much more pace than Dennis today.
He did very well. Well, we're going to have our race winner, Dennis Kamensky, into the box to have a chat with him. Well done, Dennis, firstly, on that race victory. Just what was the race like right at the end when you were obviously having to fight quite hard for the victory?
Yeah, it was quite hard. I mean, Marcel had insane setup. I was struggling on the second half of the hard stint. It was so hard to keep up with him. He was having so good exits onto the straight that I just couldn't do anything. And then the safety car happened, and so everyone boxed, and Marcel went on to hards, which I was surprised. I mean, I think he didn't watch what tires he was putting on, and that won me the race. So I'm happy for that. It's my first win in PSGL, so yeah, let's keep it up.
Absolutely, congratulations. And well, did you feel as though as soon as you saw Marcel Paps with the white wall tyres on, did you feel as though that was the race won, or did you feel as though there was still a lot of work to do?
I knew it already. After I saw it, I was screaming that, yeah, come on. But yeah, in the first corner, I mean, he had no grip, and it was quite dangerous from him. But when I saw in the second lap that he was pulling away from Ken in the McLaren, I knew it will be a hard driving into the last corner. I think I gave him just enough space, so it should not have been reported. But yeah, we will see what happens.
Certainly will indeed. And well, looking forward to Belgium next week. What are your hopes and dreams for that?
Yeah, I think my pace on this game is pretty good, so we'll see what we can achieve with the setup and with the pace also. So I'm looking forward for the podium at least.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Well, thank you very much, Dennis. Congratulations on your victory, and yeah, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Goodbye indeed. Well, that was Dennis Kamensky joining us in the box, and finally, I'm going to give you the opportunity. You can have a chat with our second place driver, Marcel Paps.
Nah, you're good. You cook, bro.
Well, in that case, well done, Marcel, on your P2. It must have been a scary one when you saw that you were on the hards and everybody else was on a set of softs.
I mean, I kind of expected it because I chose the harder location. So I had no choice, and I knew that everyone was in used soft, so the only target was to survive one lap, and then I would have been clearly faster. Those hards.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting one indeed with yeah, your tyres looking the way that they did. Did you feel as though the race was lost as soon as you put on that set of hards and saw everybody else looming in behind?
I mean, I wanted to go hards because it's either gonna be a fight on the last lap with used tires, like used soft, which were way worse, or with fresh tires, like with fresh, better hards. So it chose just the hards, and yeah, the safety car was pretty lucky. I think it was a driver error, but have to rewatch it. But otherwise, it would have been a much easier race at the end, let's say.
Indeed. And what are our early thoughts on Belgium next week?
I mean, it's probably the most track I've done with those regulations, so it should be pretty good there.
Oh, there we go. Good, nice and positive. Thank you very much for joining us today, and congratulations on your P2.
Thank you very much.
Those are our interviews. I've almost just moved you out of the commentary box. That would have been fun, wouldn't it? But yeah, just to round off today, just give us a summary of what you thought about that one.
Sorry, I'm miles away. Sorry.
Just summarise that race for us.
Oh, that race was very fun and entertaining. Loved watching every second of it with these drivers, because these drivers are pretty good. So it's nice to see some very good action from them.
Definitely so, and of course you can catch action from them next week at 8 PM UK time and 9 PM in European time. Thank you very much to everybody for watching us today, and until next time, it is goodbye.